There is no alternate reality where crepes or pancakes would not have existed. That's because almost every civilization in history with access to milk, eggs, flour, and just enough time has eventually created some version of a crepe or pancake. But then, how can we trace the origin of something that doesn't have a real beginning? Well, let's start with making this delicious looking crepe cake and we'll explore the history along the way. The first thing we need to make a strawberry crepe cake is, well, you guessed it, strawberries, but more specifically, a strawberry puree. You can essentially buy this at any grocery store, but they are surprisingly easy to make at home, and here is how. Throw 100 grams or half a cup of strawberries into a bowl and blend it until they are all juiced up. Then, to a sauce pot, add the blended strawberries along with 30 grams or 2.5 tablespoons of sugar and 4 grams or a teaspoon of lemon juice. Give that a quick mix and let that cook on medium for about 10 minutes. If you don't like strawberries for some odd reason, you can substitute them for any other type of berry and just continue following the recipe. Once the puree has thickened, the strawberry puree is ready. Set that aside in the fridge and move on to making the crepe batter. Now, the crepe batter has definitely seen some changes throughout history. Humans have probably made crepes for at least 5,000 years. But our recorded evidence goes as far as 600 BC, where in ancient Greece a poet describes crepes being made with wheat flour, olive oil, honey, and curdled milk called taginites, which is completely different from the batter we are making today, for which we will need to crack 4 eggs into a large bowl, along with a half a liter or 2.5 cups of milk, 50 grams or a fifth of a cup of melted butter, 10 grams or 1 tablespoon of vanilla sugar, and 50 grams or a fifth of a cup of regular sugar. Give it a quick mix and eliminate all of the lumps. Then we can add 250 grams or 2 cups of flour along with our strawberry puree and continue whisking. And then lastly, and this is optional, but you want to add red food coloring and mix that in as well. Now this is all fancy dandy, but if you want to get a real taste of the classic crepe, you would just make the same batter minus the strawberry puree and food coloring, spread some Nutella on that, and boom, that's heaven right there. But the crepe cake is definitely not something to sleep on. Let's move on to the cooking process and create the perfect crepes. To do that, heat up the pan on a medium heat, pour in the batter, and immediately rotate the pan so it's completely covered in batter. Unlike the American pancake, this batter is very liquidy, so you have to be quick. No worries though, you will get the hang of it after a few tries. Once you see some bubbling happening, flip the crepe and continue cooking that side for a couple of minutes. Now, I've seen a lot of videos where they are undercooking crepes like this. I mean, sure, I guess it looks prettier on video, but undercooking crepes is a serious crime for which you should be put in jail. Not only will it not taste as good, it will also be heavy on the stomach and you will be pretty much done for the day. But I guess some people might enjoy that. Anyway, the point is, there has to be browning happening on both sides before it's done cooking, and the edges should be somewhat crispy and curly. After all, it's called crepe for a reason, which comes from the Latin word crispus, meaning curled or wrinkled. And you can see that happening when you look at it from the side. So once it's brown on both sides, place it onto a separate plate, and I never thought I would say this, but let them cool off. That's because crepes are normally eaten warm, but for this recipe they have to be cold, otherwise the whipped cream between the layers will melt and it'll be a complete mess. And then you will start blaming me for such a bad recipe and providing unclear instructions, which could lead to a major catastrophe that would cause the crepe stocks to crash, which would lead to France starting a nuclear crepe war and mark the beginning of a major economic crisis where people kill each other over crepes in a crepocalypse. If you don't believe me, then you will probably not believe the following superstition as well. February the 2nd is the day that French people celebrate Crepe Day, and every family and dog member gathers around to cook and enjoy crepes all day. However, there is a superstitious belief that when you successfully flip a crepe with your right hand while holding a gold coin or ring in your left hand, you will have immense wealth the upcoming year. Now, I'm not a superstitious guy, but I'd like to believe that, so I'll happily take that to the test. Easy. Anyway, if I'm not making any videos by next year, just know I'm somewhere in the Bahamas having fun being rich. All jokes aside though, keep flipping the crepes and don't let them fall until you run out of batter. Now the best dishes on the planet have that one ingredient that elevates the dish to perfection. Pizza has mozzarella, sushi has soy sauce, pancakes have maple syrup, and the maple syrup of the crepe is of course the whipped cream filling. To make this filling, you will need 500 grams or 4 cups of whipped cream with at least 30% fat and 100 grams or half a cup of powdered sugar through a sieve. Then take an electric hand whisk and beat it until you get soft peaks. At this point you can add whatever you like to have between the layers, like strawberry chunks or strawberry puree, both, but for this recipe I'm going to keep it simple and add nothing to it. If you're more of a chocolate guy or gal, just use some Nutella instead of this whipped cream and I promise it will be at least as delicious. Set this aside for now and prepare a stacking device like this plate on which we can stack our layers. Crepe first, make sure it's not warm, and then throw some whipped cream on it. Then with the help of a spatula, spread it evenly on the crepe. Then another layer of crepe, and keep stacking them, alternating between cream and crepe. But depending on the size of the crepe you are making, you could run out of cream, like I did, at which point you can just make another batch. Now let's talk about the origin of the crepe while I stack these layers. Crepes originally come from the 13th century Brittany. No, it has nothing to do with Great Britain, but it's rather a region west of France. And according to the stories, a housewife accidentally dropped porridge on a flat cooktop, creating the first ever crepe. But that crepe was not a sweet one like we are making. You see, crepes can be divided in two categories. You have your savory breakfast crepes that you can make with eggs, sausages, and God knows what else you would eat for breakfast, and then you have your sweet crepes, which we are making today. But to say that the crepes originate from ancient Greece is actually a bit disingenuous, because quite frankly there are thousands of crepe-like pancakes all over the world, with most of them being created independently from each other and invented even before the crepe. Some examples are the Indian dosas, Russian blini, Ethiopian injera, but the list is pretty much infinite. If you have a country, you probably have an own version of the pancake or the crepe. But although the crepe is a French staple, the crepe cake is actually not French at all. What? It was actually created by a Japanese woman named Emi Wada in the 1970s. So I guess Napoleon didn't eat crepe cakes for dessert? But you know who could? Yes, you watching right now. If you keep layering the crepes and finally finish off with the last layer of cream. Now this goes into the fridge to firm up for about 1 hour. After an hour has passed, it's time to decorate the cake. Now, you will all be probably much better at decorating than me, so I'll give an interesting study about pancakes while I try to decorate this cake. Have you ever heard of the saying, flat as a pancake? Well, unless you have been living under a rock for the past, 400 years, it's been a catchphrase to describe flat-chested women or a featureless terrain like the state of Kansas. But in 2003, a group of geographers with a sense of humor wanted to know if there was actually any truth to that statement for some odd reason. So they constructed a topographic profile of a pancake as big as the state of Kansas using digital imaging processing to compare that to the actual surface of Kansas. The results were unexpected though. So where a value of 100 represents a perfect tabletop flatness, the pancake scored a lumpy 96, which is very flat indeed. But the topography of Kansas had a score of 99.7, which is as close to a tabletop as it gets. So technically, we should say as flat as the state of Kansas instead of a pancake. Though I will plead the fifth in regards to flat-chestedness. But you know what's not so flat anymore? This strawberry crepe cake, which is now ready to serve. But if you really want to take this dessert to the next level, I suggest you melt ruby chocolate with whipped cream and drizzle that on top. If you've never heard about ruby chocolate, it's a type of chocolate that has a slight berry flavor which complements this dessert beautifully. But white or dark chocolate would be fine too. You could even add some strawberry puree to it or just drizzle some Nutella. The possibilities are endless. But look at that, doesn't it look delicious? Anyway guys, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for making it all the way until the end. You guys make it possible for me to continue making these videos, so I can't thank you enough. Also, let me know in the comments what did you think about the origin of the crepe, and if you haven't already, watch this video next to learn how to make New York rolls. Until next time, take care, be safe, and keep cooking.